Root beer. A pharmacist by the name of Charles Elmer Hires first successfully marketed root beer as a commercial brand in 1876. And from there, it grew into a huge success. Every time I go in somewhere that I've never been, I try to find a root beer that I have not had. I'm from the Midwest. Really, the only thing there is to do is drink and eat things that will kill you eventually. But what is the best root beer? Well, today, we're gonna find out. But I only got as many as I could on my way home from work because I don't wanna go outside of when I'm already driving home. We have 6 kinds. A&W, Mug, Barks, Great Value, which is Walmart brand, Food Lion brand, because that's the other store, because I live in North Carolina, and IBC. We are going to be ranking them based on 3 different categories that I have come up with myself, and I have on my Google spreadsheet in front of me. Flavor, mouthfeel, and price point. Flavor and mouthfeel, I think, are more important than price point. So they're going to be on scales of 1 to 10, and price point is going to be on a scale of 1 to 3. So not a huge difference maker, but if 2 of them are pretty close, but one of them has a better price point than the other one, that one's going to take the cake. Personally, I'm not opposed to paying a little more for a root beer that tastes better to me. But if you have 2, and one is store brand and one is A&W that you think taste very similarly, you're going to buy the store brand because it's cheaper. So let's get into it. I believe our first kind is the Great Value root beer, which I've already poured into my Dave & Buster's mug. Here we go. Very smooth. That's what I mean by mouthfeel, is some root beers are almost rough. Like when you drink them, they almost like scratch your throat. Not this one. This one is very smooth, very clean, very creamy. A lot of vanilla, which I do really like a lot of vanilla in my root beers. So flavor-wise, we're going to give that one, we're going to give it a 6. It's a little bit lacking on the back end. There's not much of a flavor there. It's kind of just the initial flavor, and then it's just, you're swallowing water. I'm not opposed to a rougher root beer, but this one was maybe a little too smooth. So on mouthfeel, I'm going to give it a 4. And then price point, it's Great Value, so it's cheap. So we're going to give that a 3 out of 3. So out of total possible score of 23, the Walmart brand root beer received a 13. Not bad to start us off. I will be taking a drink of water in between each root beer to make sure that the flavors don't mix. Next is A&W. I don't think the bottled version is as good as the version you get from the actual restaurant, but let's try it. Okay, it's got a roughness to it, so I'm gonna give that a 7. Taste-wise, it's got good flavor on the front end, good flavor on the back end. It's got a pretty heavy vanilla flavor, so yeah, I'm gonna give that a 7.5 for flavor. There's not much to dislike, but I know if I were given a lot of options, A&W is not the root beer I would go for. That's why it's getting that 7.5 on the flavor scale. A&W is one of the more expensive root beers. It is name brand. It is a huge brand. So we're gonna go with a 1. Overall, the A&W root beer gets a 15.5, which does put it ahead of our Walmart brand. Taking a drink of water. Our next root beer is Mug. People love Mug. I love Mug. We'll see how it goes. On the mouthfeel scale, Mug is actually going to get a 5. I like a really fizzy and rough root beer. Mug is a little bit more smooth, so it's going to get a lower score on the mouthfeel than the A&W is. But flavor-wise, Mug is an amazing root beer flavor-wise. When you first put it in your when you first take a drink, it has so much more to give than the A&W does. And on the back end, it continues to give that vanilla flavor that I so desperately want in a root beer. It's actually going to get a 9 on the flavor, which is going to be very, very hard to beat. Price point, it is a bit cheaper than A&W, so it's going to get a 2 on the price point scale, which brings the score up to 16, which is now our leader. Half a point above A&W. We are on to the next one. The next one we have is IBC. It is our only glass bottle root beer today. There are lots and lots of glass bottle root beers that are very good. The aesthetic of a glass bottle root beer is awesome. Also, this one is made with cane sugar, so it is going to be different taste-wise. The flavor is just bam, in your face right away, and it continues to do that all the way through. The mouthfeel is great. Fizzy, scratching your throat as it goes down. Also, the aesthetic of the bottle is perfect. Rating-wise, IBC, I think it's gonna have to get a 9.5 on the flavor. I didn't really expect any of these to be very low, but IBC on the flavor scale, definitely a 9.5. The IBC root beer is a little more rough as it's going down, which is nice. Not much more rough than the A&W, but a little bit. So we're gonna give that a 7.5 in mouthfeel. And then price point, it's in a glass bottle, but they don't make IBCs in the 20-ounce bottles. They only make them in the 12-ounce glass bottles, from what I've seen. And you're paying about the same for that glass bottle as you're paying for the A&W and mug, so I'm gonna have to give that a 0.5 on the price scale, which is not good. With that 0.5, we have a 17.5 score, which is our new leader, IBC root beer. The next one is Food Lion, another store brand root beer. Not expecting much out of it, but here we go. It has an interesting initial flavor. There is not much vanilla. It's pretty smooth. There's something off about the initial flavor. As it continues, it does get a little bit better, but it's not anywhere near the flavor of any of the other ones. So flavor-wise, I'm actually going to have to give that one a 3. Mouthfeel-wise, very smooth. Not as smooth as the Walmart, but very smooth. So it's going to get a 4.5 mouthfeel-wise. And the price point, it's very cheap. So it's gonna get a 3. I don't even want to freaking finish this one. Last, but definitely not least, Barq's root beer. The only one that we have tried so far with caffeine. The flavor's there the whole time. A very heavy vanilla flavor. The mouthfeel is great. It's way more rough than the A&W, way more rough than the mug, way more rough than the IBC. The flavor I don't think is as good as the IBC, so it's gonna get a 9 on that, but the mouthfeel is almost perfect. I think it's gonna get a 9.5. Price point, it's name brand. It's expensive. I only got the mini cans for a reason. So it's gonna get actually a 0.5 on that. In last place, we have this sorry excuse for a root beer in the Food Lion root beer with 10 points. In fifth, we have the Great Value root beer, which is really good for a store brand. I would definitely buy it again. Has 13 points. In fourth place, we have the A&W root beer, which is just a good root beer all around. Just a very solid root beer. Don't really have much more to say about it. In third place, we have the Mug root beer. The flavor was great, but the mouthfeel and the price point don't really make it worth it to me. In second place, in a very close race with 17.5 points, we have the IBC root beer with cane sugar. Very good. Good aesthetic with the glass bottle. And our winner is the Barq's root beer, our only root beer with caffeine, and it just is a great root beer all around. It is really, really flavorful. It really does have that bite that all the other ones are missing when you drink it. There just is a certain fizziness to it that is just unmatched with most root beers. It might be the caffeine. I don't really know the chemistry behind that. But Barq's really just does take the cake when it comes to these 6 root beers that I found on my way home from work. Thank you so much for watching me drink root beer. Goodbye.